If I wake up in the morning and married and refuse to greet my husband my traditional greeting, especially when that person is an adult man, that seems to be disrespect. But in modern days, if I wake up, I can decide to greet or not. I can even say good morning and go and make my coffee or tea or whatever. And maybe for him, if he's a modern man, not traditionally trained, he might accept it and say, okay, good morning. But if he's a traditional man or someone that is both modern and tradition, he might say it like, oh, what's this? You're disrespecting me. So there are a lot of practices, which is ancient practices, that seems to affect the modern society. How do we balance these things? How do we balance modern times and ancient times and still be able to tap into ancient times and also use the modern times to just sweeten it up? It seems to be difficult in modern world. Many years ago, when people have problems, when family have problems, or you have problem in your relationship, in your marriage, you know where to go. You know who to call in the family. Those are ancient practices. You know who to send a message to. You know who to tell this is what is happening at home. And they also know how to come into it and solve the issue for you. Unlike today, many people hardly call family members to report family issues. They try solving it themselves. At the end of the day, more crisis. Sometimes when let's compare it to the European have already carved their own modern civilization for themselves. They have psychologists, they have different marriage therapy, they have different ones that you can go to. You can solve issues, you can talk about it, they can find solution and tell you how to manage. They have different things of how to manage different things if you urgently need it or if you can afford it. But when it comes to us that have had practices for generations, how do we now modernize it for it to fit with our society? We cannot escape that. We might be saying we don't need modernization, we don't want to modernize anything, we just want it the way it is. Will it work? That is why we see a lot of people still struggling with identity crisis. They don't know who to be. They want to be this, they want to be this. At the same time, they tell you I'm a traditional man. And at the same time, there are practices that a traditional man is not supposed to do. And at the same time, we are in a modern world. These two things, they just clash on each other. And we see others are struggling, especially men. We women seem to approach modern times in a good way. Maybe it's good for us, maybe not. Maybe somebody needs to check on you. There are rules and regulations. The rules and regulations that we have now, we think is okay. But a part of us still want the tradition. Every Edo woman wants respect the tradition, wants to abide by tradition. But not everybody wants to abide by ancient tradition that seems to be strong and control you to an extent. Some people might say the word control is not to be used, but there are things that seems to happen then. It works then. Will it work now? There are many people when people are about to get married in ancient time, there are practices to follow, there are things to follow, there are reasons why you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. If you do this, this will happen. Those things, do people still go with it? Many people believe that no, they might not want to go with it. Many people still go with it out of love, and also if they grow up in a traditional home that has been having those practices, they're used to those practices, they might still say yes to it. Even sometimes the men even tell you, don't worry about it, it's okay, we are in modern times. But as time goes on, their own identity becomes a problem too. And they start thinking about what to follow, especially when the women start misbehaving or going the other way. There's nothing to control them. Nothing. And these are when men start to think about ancient practices, or if this thing was done like this, there were rules and regulations that guide this thing in our father's time or ancient times. These are things that happens every day. So how do we now balance these things? How do we balance the ancient world and the modern world, modern civilization, ancient civilization? How do we place it together as Edo people to balance it in order not to have too much problems? Because most of the problem we have today, especially when it comes to man and a woman, all is more or less, half of it is related to ancient practices and modern practices. Who to call when these things happen? Do people still believe in those ancient times, the ancient method where you call the family member, you report? Many people don't even want their history or their story out of their home anymore. They don't want to call somebody in the family to report issues anymore. They don't want somebody to solve the problem for them because they are ashamed that the story will just leak out. Maybe something is something to be shy about. There's so many things that many people cover these days, because of the era that we are, unlike before, that is even a taboo to hide some certain things as a man, especially when it is a woman that has committed something. Then hiding it is more problem traditionally. So you have to call the other people and you have to inform them that this is what my wife has done. How do we manage this thing? What do we do? This is what is happening, and other story. Even sometimes you don't even need, maybe your family member goes out to play the oracle and somebody sees it and said, oh, we saw this, somebody has done something. You have to ask questions. That can really lead to people asking their questions at home, that what have you done? There's something that is happening. You have to confess. You have to say this out. What's going on here? What's going on here? All these things do come together. So how do we balance these two things? Ancient practices, modern times. How do we do it? How do we control the old things, the laws, the rules and regulations that ancient practices place for us? How do we now modernize it in order for it to fit in?